Hi everyone, today let's make some mint chocolate. I know a lot of the content that's been coming out for me recently has been focused on drinks, and that's because my book just came out and it's all about drinks. The link's down in the description down below. But today I want to show you how to make some mint chocolate. And there's actually a trick to making mint, and it's not a difficult trick, but it is a trick nonetheless. So let's go ahead and just get started on making it. So the first thing that we're gonna need for some mint chocolate, unsurprisingly, is mint. And if it is surprising to you, I'm not really sure what you expected. And then the real first step is just to pick the mint leaves off the stems. We don't really want the stems for this recipe, we're really just focused on the leaves. Inside of these mint leaves are a bunch of different compounds that really give the smell and flavor of mint. And what we're gonna try to do is we're gonna try to capture that flavor and actually place it inside of our chocolate. So mint is a plant, and like all plants, all of the oils that we wanna get access to that give it its beautiful flavor are surrounded by cell walls. And what we're gonna try to do is extract that oil from those cells. And in order to do that, we can give a little head start by actually smashing our mint leaves a little bit. This is what's known as bruising them, and it's just gonna help give us access to that juice that has all of the delicious mint oil inside of it. For a lot of the recipes I've been doing recently, normally you would just add sugar here and let the sugar, through the process of osmosis, pull the oils out of the mint leaves. However, because what we're gonna be making is chocolate, we can't quite do that, and this is where the trick comes in. We're gonna have to do something called effleurage, which is actually a really old technique for removing the oil from plant matter, and instead of dissolving it in water like we normally do, we're gonna have our oils dissolved in fat. So this process is actually relatively easy. All we're gonna need to do is we're gonna need to get some fat. And lucky for us, chocolate is mostly fat in the form of cocoa butter. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna take the cocoa butter and we're gonna melt this down until it's a liquid. There's no need to make it super hot. We just wanna heat up this cocoa butter until it completely melts and we just have a liquid. From here, it's just a matter of pouring the melted cocoa butter all over our mint leaves. And what we're gonna do now is just kind of seal these up and let them sit for a while. And what's gonna happen is the oils from the mint leaves are gonna seep out into the fat. And believe it or not, this technique of effleurage is really old. And it's, for example, like how a lot of things like soap are made. So I let my mason jars sit for about a week. Now, I think a couple days will be fine, and you can obviously let this go for longer. So as you can see here, it's not necessarily the prettiest looking technique, although the cocoa butter really does smell like mint. So now it's just a matter of removing these mint leaves from our cocoa butter, and then we can use this cocoa butter to make our chocolate. So to do that, I'm just gonna melt the cocoa butter and then strain off the leaves. However, the container I used really wasn't watertight, and so it leaked water, and that was not very fun. So after figuring this out, I rescued it and was able to just put this into a bowl, which was a much safer choice. And after about 5 minutes, all of the cocoa butter was completely melted. From there, it's just a matter of straining it off using a strainer, which is relatively easy. And look, we have our cocoa butter here. And now we can move on to actually making our chocolate. So today I'm gonna be using my conch to be able to make the chocolate. However, that's not a requirement. You can use a blender like I did in a video about 2 years ago where I made white chocolate. Basically follow the exact same process as that. The only difference is instead of just using raw cocoa butter, you're gonna be using your effleuraged cocoa butter. All right, so let's go back to making this though. So I put together my conch, or melanger as it's also called. And then I just basically added a little bit of the cocoa butter and then let it start. Then at this point, we can add in the other ingredients that are required to make the chocolate, which is some powdered milk, then giving it a little bit of a mix, and then adding some powdered sugar. I'll have all the ingredient amounts down in the description below. I'm additionally gonna add a little tiny bit of salt. That's just to kind of balance out the flavor. So then I just let this go for a few hours. Now, one thing about this recipe though, that I think is kind of important is that it's mint chocolate, and I believe that mint chocolate should be green. Now, the thing is about chocolate is it's a fat. And you can't use just a normal food coloring because that's a water-based food coloring. And what will happen is if you actually add in normal food coloring to this, it's actually gonna seize up your chocolate. It's gonna cause havoc. You really don't want that to happen. So when you're actually dyeing chocolate, you need to find an oil-based food coloring. Now these aren't necessarily found in the grocery store, but thankfully I was able to find them relatively easily online. And I just added a little bit of the food coloring, a little bit by a little bit, until I got the color that I felt was what I wanted, which is kind of minty green mint color. While purchasing the food coloring, I also thought, hey, you know, I make a lot of chocolate on this channel. Maybe I should get some professional-ish chocolate molds. And so I bought these chocolate molds, which I think look pretty nice and sturdy. It was time to pour the chocolate into the chocolate molds. So I just poured the chocolate into the chocolate mold, slowly filling each one of the molds up with a little bit of chocolate. And then I'm just gonna cover this and let it sit at room temperature overnight. And all the rest of the chocolate, I just left in that little measuring cup in the fridge overnight. We're gonna come back to that. I came back to it the next day, and it was time to demold the chocolate. I was really excited for this. However, the chocolate was not coming out of the mold. Try as I might through banging or knifing the chocolate, I still was unable to delodge the chocolate from the mold. I have no idea what I'm doing wrong here, and if you are a confectioner and are aghast at what I'm doing, can you please leave a comment explaining what I'm doing wrong here, because I still don't understand. And in the future, I'm probably going to be using those silicone molds because they're a lot easier to demold the chocolate bars from. However, it wasn't necessarily the end of the world. Thankfully, I did have that little bit that was inside of the measuring cup. All I really wanted to do here was do a taste test anyways, so I'm going to do a taste test on that. Now, one quick note before the taste test. In case you're unaware, I just published a book. It just came out, and some of the people have started to get their books. And if you did get a book, you're awesome. And one thing that would really help is to actually leave an Amazon review. All right, let's get to that taste test. Okay, so let's eat some mint chocolate. This is absolutely delicious. Holy crap, I could eat this whole thing. Now, should I have cut this into smaller pieces? Maybe. Will I eat this entire thing? Maybe. Should you make this? Yes. Well, that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed this video, and sorry that the chocolate bars themselves didn't work out. Oh well, I'll get better molds next time. See you guys soon. Bye.